Got some daylight. It's about 7. Perfect. So for the rest of the day, I'm definitely going to get this built. Definitely get these walls built, get the ceiling going, and then I'm going to start working on my defenses as well. In the meantime, though, I'm going to be collecting any kind of rocks and melting those down to iron fragments, and then eventually iron ingots. The 2 last tutorial tasks were finding carbs and proteins. As you're walking around, if you see any plants, by all means, definitely right-click and harvest them, because that's just free stuff right there. So it's going to give you, in the food menu here, it's going to give you the actual plant itself when you harvest a plant. It's also going to give you seeds for it. So definitely hang on to the seeds. We'll be using those very, very soon. And as far as placing a door, once you have your frame built, it's a little finicky. Sometimes you have to aim above it to get it to click in right. Okay, and that requires 8 planks. Oh, you know what? I think the rain actually let it put these forges out. Yeah. Okay, so let me concentrate on this first. Forgot about that darn rain. Usually it doesn't rain this much. I think I'm just kind of getting unlucky. The rain seems to be a little bit... It's definitely timed out every 15 minutes or so, but usually doesn't rain this much early game from what I remember. So, see the planks and logs for this. Okay, so I got my ceilings built there. Now I should be able to relight these forges. Okay, so we got the small stones going there. And the next thing I'm going to want to build is the anvil. So let's place that right about there. That's fine. And for that, I'm going to need planks again and some iron ingots. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to use the iron ingots for. And once I get this built, it's going to allow me to craft some more weapons, nails, and some other things as well. So at this point, it's basically just collecting as many logs and planks as possible while keeping these forges going as well. You always want to keep something cooking on these forges. Keep in mind, you can also, besides the firewood, you can fuel those forges with bark chips, sticks, as well as the firewood. So bark chips you get a ton of early game, so if you want to throw some of those in the forge, keep it going by all means. Also, as far as the door goes, by default it'll open outwards. I like to have it open inwards. It's just a lot easier to get in and out. When it opens up this way, it kind of blocks me sometimes. So to do that, you'll just want to flip it around when you're making it so it has a handle on the right side. Okay, so we got the blueprints in here. We're almost done with the structure. Also, if you are getting a little bit low on proteins, what you can do is craft up a stone spear with 1 stone blade, 3 sticks, and 5 plant fibers. So I might do that now just for demonstration's sake. So stone blade, 3 sticks, 5 plant fibers, craft. And you can run over to the little pond we have here, and then just stab yourself a fish. Once you grab that, you'll just go over to the land, drop it down. Here I got a trout, and you can either keep it in your inventory. That won't spoil for 18 hours. So you might want to do that if you want to save some fish. Otherwise, when you drop it on the ground, right click, harvest, and that's going to give you 2 raw fish, which keep in mind those will expire in 30 minutes of in-game time. So what I'm going to do with those is come over to here, throw them right on the fire. So each campfire, you have 4 slots that you can put meat on to cook it with. And they cook pretty quickly. If you wanted to as well, you could also throw the spear at any animal you see. It's not going to kill them in one hit, but if you once you hit them, like a deer, let's say, it's going to run away. And if you wait a few seconds, you'll see it'll make a noise, and then you'll be able to harvest it. It'll die after one hit. It'll take some bleeding damage, and it'll eventually die. If you see something like a boar and you attack one of those, it's going to turn from passive to aggressive once you hit it. So be careful with that. I would stick to like a deer early game. Okay, so I got a few iron fragments that I made here, so I'm going to throw those all in. So I have 1 iron ingot so far, got 4 more cooking up, so I'll be able to make this anvil in no time. Okay, so I got my iron ingots here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I already have 1 in there, so bam. So now we got the anvil built, but the grind, the grind does continue though. I'm gonna need a ton more iron ingots for what I plan to do next. So I'm still gonna cook up these stones. The next thing I'm going to need to do is get these iron ingots, go over here to the anvil, and then each iron ingot will give you 10 nails. The nails I'm going to need for the workbench, and then I'm also going to need them for the log cart. So the log cart, if you go into placeables and then other, log cart, so that requires 3 wood logs, planks, and then nails. So I'm going to throw this down right here. Once I get this built, I can hold a ton of logs in here, and that'll save you time running back and forth. But as you see here, I got the ceiling finished, got all the walls finished. I'm actually going to harvest this down. I'm probably running low on firewood in the forges. Let me grab some of that. Yeah, it's getting a little low. I usually like to keep them about half. Get that going. And then what you want to do is just keep using the stone from your storage and just cycle back and forth. So take out the iron fragments, put in the stone, and then throw anything you don't need and clear up your inventory. And also as you go, just keep an eye out for any kind of plants. You also might want to do a quick little perimeter check, so just kind of run around the perimeter of the area here and just see if you see any plants and harvest those. I'll take a little run right now actually. And actually I'm running a little low on stones too, so I'm going to harvest one of these. Keep in mind though, these are going to give you the small stones and copper. Don't worry about these. These give you clay soil, I believe. You don't need those right now. You don't need those for a while, so stick to these ones, the big ones. There we go. Okay, so it's about midday of day 2. What I'm going to start doing now is building up my defenses for the base. So the best defense in this game is a spike trap. Those require a log, stick, and rope. So the reason I built it near the water here is because the enemies can't get over the water here. So already half of my base is protected. So what I'm going to do is just cover the rest in wood spikes. So I'm going to start here and just start laying them down to give myself an idea of where everything's going to go. And then I usually like to leave a little bit of open space on the side to build other things. So I might go, let's go across this way. These can always be moved later on. Just giving like a rough idea of where they're going right now. And then when you build up to the water, you can build like right up to where the water meets the sand here. Just give yourself some space so you can kind of move around it. The enemies never really go into the water, so you can get in and out of your base fairly easily with that. Another thing you might want to start building is the plant beds, so placeables, food, and those do require planks and nails as well. You can kind of put those anywhere. I like to keep them as close to the water as possible, because early game you could be running back and forth to water them, unless it happens to rain. So I'm going to put them right here just so I'm not running into them. So 2 is usually good to start off with. Once I get the iron ingots, I'll be able to throw them on the anvil, and I'll get 10 nails per ingot. And those will actually let me finish the workbench, and those will let me finish the wood log cart here. I haven't started the spikes yet because you need rope for those. In order to craft the rope, you're going to need to get the workbench built first. That's why I'm doing it in this order. So these are almost done. We got 2 of these. Awesome, so let's get some nails going. Throw some in here. So we got the workbench done, and then we got the log cart in as well. So now everything is going to go a lot quicker. So what I like to do is just find a nice dense area of trees, chop them all down, and then fill up the cart after that. There we go, so we got it filled. So that holds 11 logs, and then I can bring it right back over here, make some planks, and then eventually I'm going to use this to make the spikes as well. These do require a lot of sticks, which I can obviously harvest these logs for. Let's see how we're doing in here. Good. And then what you want to do for the rope, just go over to your workbench, throw in 50 plant fiber, and that'll give you 25 rope, and that should be enough rope to build your entire defense wall here. So you can pretty much walk across these and spam E, and that'll fill them up for you. Go. Okay, so those are good. And then I'll have to finish these spikes here. So how do I want to do this? Let's see. Say right about there is good. Okay, good. So at this point I just need a ton of rope, which I think I have already, a bunch of sticks and some logs. Good. And same as the other side, I built this right up to the water, so no enemies can get in here, but I can easily swoop around. Once these are built, though, you can run off the top. Okay. And then as far as these plant beds, might as well get those built. Okay, I'm gonna need a few more nails for that. Okay, once you have your plant bed built, you'll be able to plant some seeds in there. So I'm gonna grab the melon seeds I found before. Press E, and then you can drag the seed in there, and you'll see it says add water. And since there's nothing around this circle, it means there's no water in there. So luckily we built our base right next to this water source. So we can grab our flask in there. Don't worry about dirty water or clean water, just throw the dirty water in there. And you'll see it'll fill it up a little bit more than halfway. Since I'm here, I'm just gonna fill it up all the way. And there, so now it's full. And if you sit there, you'll see it'll slowly start to use the water. There, we got our first plant that go in there. I'm gonna keep an eye out for a second one. I'm gonna grab my cart too, so I can, at this point, I really just need a ton of sticks to finish up these defenses. So also keep in mind the little harvest trick here. Harvest. Pick up all these sticks. And then as you go, just kind of build the wooden spikes up. So that's the first one there. Don't worry about running into the spikes, you can't hurt yourself. And you should be able to jump right over them too. Okay, so I should be able to finish these wooden spikes by tonight and get my defenses up. And I'm gonna finish up this last plant bed as well too. Okay, so I got my iron ingot fragments here. Gonna break this one down. With that, I can finish the second plant bed. Cool. So now I got the second one in there. Keep in mind, once it starts raining, it's going to fill up the plant beds automatically for you. Okay, I just found my second plant here, watermelon. Not bad. Okay, so at this point, I'm just finishing up the wooden spikes. So, like I explained before, each wood log is gonna be harvestable. It's gonna give you 4 firewood and then 5 sticks. Keep in mind, you can also harvest each piece of firewood. That'll give you 4 sticks there, so. Easiest way to get this done quickly is just to harvest a bunch of stuff. Not too much because they will despawn after a few minutes, and just kind of run around and fill it up with what you have on you. With 1 cart of logs, you should be able to build the entire wall of wood spikes, no problem, once you harvest everything down. There we go. Okay, so now we got the perimeter secure. And I can still go right around here and get right in, no problem. Got some plants growing. Now's about the time you probably want to build another storage container. And there's a few more things at this point you'll probably want to build. You are kind of self-sustaining right now with between the fish, you have the plants growing. You can also start hunting animals too. The easiest way to do that is just with a spear at this point. A few more things you want to build though to get you started. It's just about the end of day 2 and I'm running really low on energy. Just a few suggestions here. You'll probably want to build some storage things, so a weapon rack is a good idea. If you get a ton of raw meat, you can always build a drying rack too. Those are good to have. With the drying rack, you can put up to 5 pieces of raw meat, whether it be fish or meat from like deer and boar and sheep. Throw those in there, and then over time, after a few minutes, it'll turn to dried meat, which will still give you a lot of protein, just won't expire as fast as raw meat does. The weapon rack is good because if you go up here to the axes, you can see I'm already maxed out. You only get 4 slots. So if I try to craft another spear right now, it's not going to let me do it. You'll have to throw one of your items into here, into the weapon rack. You can switch them back and forth. That's definitely an essential thing to have. Some other good things you'll want to make is a bone spear. That'll be good to fight enemies as you go on. Another good thing is the katana. So since you already have the anvil created, and you have tons of iron ingots at this point, be able to craft that with 1 stick, one iron ingot. So that's pretty cheap to make early game. Also, another cool little tip here is the storage. So when you build your second storage container, you can place it wherever you want. If you want to be a little bit more storage efficient, you can place them on top of each other. So line it up as best you can, place it there, and then just throw some planks in there to build it. Okay, so I just got the weapon rack built, and I'm going to free up some space here. I'm going to throw my torch in there so you can store up to 5 different weapons in there. Okay, and then I got my second storage chest built. So doubled up my storage. That's That's a good start. So it's the morning of day 3, and we already got a ton of stuff built in here. We got our forges, workbenches, some good storage, and we're also self-sufficient as far as water and meat and maintaining your stats down there. So you probably won't see too many enemies showing up for the first few days, but if you do, and you're out in the open, just run behind these wood spikes, and that should take care of most of them. I'm going to do a few more guides as far as what to do later on in the game, in the mid-game. So keep an eye out for that. But that's how it looks. That should be pretty close to what your first base looks like. You can kind of do whatever you want as far as the wall. You don't have to build it exactly like this, but the most important thing is that you keep it as close to the water as possible, because early game water is kind of a pain. So do the best you can. Hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.